Hi, this is Geof Ginter on the floor of the second International MMT Conference here in New York City. I'm here with
Sam Levy of Deficit Owls.
So Sam, what do you think about the conference so far? How do you think it's been going?
I think it's been a great conference, really good for the movement. It's been maybe twice as large as the one last year.
Yeah, so I'm told. This is
yeah, and hopefully next year will be twice as large as this one.
Oh, God, wouldn't that be awesome?
We've had discussions on an ever wider range of topics. One of the things that I've really liked is it's not just been sort of purely academic theory, modeling kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We've moved a little bit away from that this year, and it's more about activism, about changing hearts and minds, about appealing to new audiences and getting people on board that haven't been on board before, and taking the movement to its next logical step as a movement, not just as a theory.
Was there a particular panel that you saw that really stuck out for you? And if so, why would that be?
Maybe not a particular panel, but if you looked at the schedule of panels they had yesterday, almost every part of it was about pushing the limits.
Yes.
There was, and not just pushing the limits, in terms of the theory, but in terms of our social reach.
Yeah.
So that we're talking about democracy, we're talking about organizational governance, we're talking about inclusion,
Yes.
we're talking about equity, we're talking about how to reach lay people, we're talking about how to communicate with the media. We're moving in all these different directions, again, to push our movement forward.
Yeah. It's one of the things I really liked about yesterday, was the panel on intersectionality. All the different marginalized communities, whether they be African American, Native American, women, whatever it happens to be. Every time we move forward as a nation, it seems to be always white men that prosper, and everyone else gets crumbs. What are your thoughts, if you have any, on how we can avoid that this time around? If MMT really becomes the battle cry for this movement, how do we ensure that people don't get left behind again?
Yeah, I think it's such a serious concern that finance is seen as the domain of white men, and it just oppresses communities of color, and so they don't want anything to do with it. And here we're saying, no, finance is important, and it's empowering, and it's something that we can do to create a better future.
Yeah.
And I think that sell is a tough sell. And to do it, I think we have to reach out to those communities specifically, and we have to try and get people on board and appeal to them in their language. So not at that panel, but at the one that was about monetary theory after MMT.
Yes.
Professor Lua Yuli got up and spoke, and at the end of her remarks, she said, well, what is monetary theory going to look like after MMT? I don't know, but I hope it looks more like me. And she points to herself as this black mother, speaks Spanish, a large woman, not the kind of person who's typically represented in financial circles.
Or political circles, or any circles.
Exactly. And we need those voices to help, and those perspectives to make our movement accessible to those communities, because it can't be this thing where white people like me come in and say, here's what communities of color should think about money.
Exactly. Thank you. Because actually, in trying to reach communities of color, that's a real concern. They don't, from what's been explained to me, is that they don't want another white person coming in and acting like they're going to save them. They've had enough of that. So there really has to be a greater cultural inclusiveness and sensitivity to past mistakes. To past errors, and how else can we move forward together as a community? I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, I totally agree. If activism is about leadership in communities, then the leadership should look like the communities we represent, because that's what democracy is, and the communities that we should be representing are everybody, and includes all different kinds of people and lifestyles and demographics, and those people therefore should be in this movement and leading it.
I couldn't agree more. Sam, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.